So I've taught you how to spot opportunities during a recession. Not only that, I've shown you how to protect what you've built. I've shown you how to go on the offense while everybody else is on the defense, when everybody else is pulling back. I've even shown you how to generate income fast when money is tight. But none of that matters. None of it, if you're not in control of your money. You know, this is one of the key things that I like to teach, because if your capital's locked up in the market when all these opportunities present themselves, you can't do anything. Because you're so dependent on banks, on credit scores, on rising interest rates or moving interest rates that you're not building wealth. You're borrowing time, that's all you're doing. That's why I have leaned into one system that has never failed me, not once, even when everything else is getting shaky. The infinite banking concepts. You've heard me talk about this. That's the strategy that gives you the liquidity, but more importantly, the control and the guaranteed growth that you'll need. Using this properly, that is a game changer. Now, I know a lot of people want to pinpoint or hyper-focus on the product, the specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy. And I get it. Your whole life, or most of your professional life, you've been told that whole life is the worst place you could put your money. It's expensive, the cost of insurance is up there, the commissions, but you seem to forget. These are specially designed and engineered. We literally put the lowest death benefit by IRS rules, the highest amount of capital for each client, what they want to save. And what that does is it drives commissions down by 60 to 90%. You see, these policies are built for maximum cash value. And in this episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you why this strategy is a financial stronghold during hard times. It always has been, even back to the Great Depression. And I'm going to show you how to keep the policy working for you no matter what the economy is doing. I'm Chris Naugle, and this is another episode of What Now? What's next for your private bank? Most people treat insurance like an expense, and I get it, so do I. But with the right strategy, it becomes a private banking system, a safe, liquid, and guaranteed asset that keeps growing even during a recession. You see, my team and I design custom whole life policies, specially designed and engineered whole life is what I always say. We use only mutually owned, dividend-paying life insurance companies. And when we design them, every design is different for the client's needs and goals, but all of them will be designed for the maximum cash value and to put you in control of your money. The one thing we often don't talk much about is the death benefit. We talk mostly about control and cash value and how to use and move that money. Well, let's talk about another thing that I need you to move, and that is your fingers right now. I need you to click that subscribe button, and right above there's a little bell. See that bell? Yep, smash that bell. Give that bell a little smash and it will notify you every time I put out new content so that you can join us for all of the lives. So let's get back into the infinite banking concept, a strategy that will reshape how you build wealth in an uncertain future. I'm talking about right now. Because this strategy that we're going to talk about will most certainly reshape how you build wealth, and it will absolutely reshape how you build wealth in uncertain times, like right now. The stock market can always go up, it can go down, and you know, everybody's fascinated by it. And I think they're fascinated because it's kind of like gambling. You never know what you're gonna get. It's kind of like in that movie, Tom Hanks says, it's like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get. Exactly. But the world that I live in and the world I'm gonna teach you about doesn't go down in value, doesn't change, it doesn't fluctuate. It goes one place, and that is up, because it is guaranteed. And also, all of the mutually owned companies, they pay dividends, and they pay dividends every year, and they have for well over 100 years. And there is no correlation to Wall Street or the markets. Bitcoin, I think, is very correlated to the markets, and a lot of people love Bitcoin. But what I'm talking about has zero tie to the markets, which is why I advise people do not use IULs for the infinite banking concept. They simply don't work. And they certainly are not as efficient as a specially designed and engineered whole life policy. Another thing These specially designed and engineered whole life policies are not correlated to Wall Street. In other words, when the markets are going down, the policies do one thing and one thing only, and that is go up. They are guaranteed to have more money next year than they did this year, which is why I advise people not to use indexed universal life policies in conjunction with the infinite banking concepts. Now, listen, I don't like IULs. Never have, never will, but that's because I've been doing this for 21 years. I've seen the rise and fall of every universal life variation, from target ULs to VULs, and now the almighty, or popular, I should say, IULs. IULs, I'm sure there's some good use cases for them. I'm not saying there isn't, but those use cases are long-term, like supplemental retirement, anything 10, 20 years down the line. What we're talking about here is building a private banking system, which means you need liquidity today, immediately in the first 30 days in order for this to work. An IUL cannot do that because they have surrender charges. Now I don't care what any agent or advisor tells you. They are not giving you the full truth. But most importantly, why IULs are forbidden to be used with the infinite banking concepts. And when I say forbidden, yes, they are forbidden by the Infinite Banking Practitioners Organization. There's many reasons, but one of the other reasons is internally, an IUL has a rising cost of insurance. A whole life has a level cost of insurance, which means it's predictable. An IUL, every year, the only predictability is that it gets more expensive. So when you're older, when it matters the most, when the death benefit matters the most, the policy will start becoming cost prohibitive. Now I know they're gonna show you this fancy illustration with this hypothetical participation rate, 6%, 7%, whatever they're gonna show you. Do you realize what that means? Let me just pause you and get you to understand something. Have you ever seen any index, I don't care if it's the S&P, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, any index in the market, go just up? Have you ever seen one have a straight line up? No. They've gone up, they've gone down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's kind of like looking at somebody that is connected to a machine that shows their heartbeat, right? That's kind of what the stock market is. So it is completely false to think that you're going to get the same return every single year. It is actually impossible. Now I know they tell you, oh, but over a period of time, they average. If you were to use the cash value in your IUL, that's going to affect how the returns are calculated. Now I know they earn uninterrupted compounding interest based on a participating hypothetical return. So if the markets are down like they are right now, what is the return? Oh, you don't have one. You just sit at the guaranteed floor, which means if your illustration showed you a 7% hypothetical participation rate and you earned 0, next year, how much do you have to make? More or less than 7%? More, a lot more, because the year before you made nothing, which means now you got to make up for that the next year, the year after that, and the year after that. You see, that's the thing they don't tell you. Every IUL, and mark my words on this, you will see, but it will be too late when you do. Every IUL will run into problems because they cannot get a static return when participating in a market-based index. I know I went too far in this. All I'm telling you is if you're trying to get ahead, become your own private bank, and use the infinite banking concept for what you're trying to do, IULs will fail you 100% of the time. And if somebody tells you different, give them my number and I will debate it and I will win 100% of the time. Let's dive back into this. And I'll finish it off by saying this is exactly why you do not want an IUL during a recessionary period. And where are we headed, folks? Well, as of right now, this is the end of April 2025, and I can't see any other result other than a recession. So would you prefer to have a mutually owned life insurance company that's been around for 150 years old, that has paid dividends through every depression, every recession, and every downtime, and every downturn in modern history? Yeah, I think that's what you'd want, because you want liquidity without selling assets. You want liquidity without worrying about, oh no, our market performance is down, our participation rate is at the guaranteed level. You want the maximum cash value that you can use, that you can borrow against, and that you can grow tax-free without any credit checks. That is what you want, especially if you want to take back the banking functions in your life. That is the real power, and that is you banking on yourself. It all comes down to compounding interest. Guaranteed compounding interest. Now, I know dividends are not guaranteed, but the interest rate in your whole life is. But I have begun to see something that is kind of alarming, and I've seen that when times get tough, like they are right now, when people get pinched financially, they throw their arms up and they just say, I quit. They stop funding their policies, they surrender them, and that is a huge mistake. You see, you only need to fund the minimum on the policies to keep the policy alive. Now, if you go to the minimum, do not stay at the minimum. Always add $10 or $100 per year to keep the ability to bounce back up. But that is another way you can keep the policies, because every policy we design has flexibility built into the policy. What do I mean by flexibility? Well, I mean you have the ability to change your premium deposits and keep that compounding engine running. Even small premium deposits keep your system intact. Now, I don't know what your policy will look like, but I can certainly tell you it will have flexibility of anywhere between 60 to 90%. Meaning, if we started at $1,000, that's your premium deposit per month, you could go down to minimum $400, but as much as you could go down to $100 a month. Now, again, add $10 to that number so that you have the ability to reinstate or get back the amounts that you didn't put in during those difficult times. Not only that, the dividend that's paid every single year. Now, depending on where you're at in your policy, there's another thing that gives you a whole bunch of relief during difficult times, and that is the dividend. Now, again, it depends on how long you've had your policy, how much cash value has built, but let me just talk about the dividend. You could use the dividend to offset your premium deposit. If things were really rough, you could change your dividend from going to paid up additions, and you could move that right over so that it's paying those premium deposits or paying a portion of those premium deposits. That gives you more flexibility. And not only that, there are other things that could be done within your policy to get you even more relief. The worst possible thing anyone can do is cancel and surrender the policy, because it's game over. You lose no matter what. The other thing, and I usually don't bring this up, but I will right now, you could use your cash value. You could APL, meaning automatic premium loan, your policy to make those premium deposits if things got ultimately really bad. You see, none of those result in a surrender, which hurts your family, which hurts your private banking system, and leaves no alternative other than starting over in the future. And that is not what you want to do. Now, let me pivot real quick. I started this thing called Money School TV. We call it MSTV. So MSTV is your go-to platform for mastering this system we've been talking about. Not just setting up the policy, but actually using it to build wealth, to fund opportunities, and most importantly, to stay in control, no matter what the economy throws at you. The cost for MSTV is $19 a month. You get a live group mentorship with me. That's right, every week I will be doing live mentorships. There's access to all my advanced training videos. There's replays of all the stuff we do that is not available to the public, and it all is designed to get you ahead. So again, $19 a month or $190 a year. You get all my books for free. If the infinite banking concept is and your private banking system is part of your strategy, MSTV is where you're going to level it up. So start your free trial right now. All right, let's get back into it. So let's talk a little bit about surrendering your policy and why that's not a good idea, and how this happens sometimes. People get themselves in a bad position. You see, when you set up your own private banking system, if all you do is steal from your bank, which in other words, if you take loans and take loans and take loans and never recycle and recapture that money, you are literally eventually going to collapse your banking system. If you owned an actual bank and all you ever did was take loans from your bank and never pay them back, you'd be stealing from your bank. And eventually, your bank would go out of business. And this is no different. This is your own banking system, and it operates under the same rules as a regular bank. So you need to be responsible. You need to be an honest banker, and you need to follow the rules of banking, just like you would if you owned an actual real bank. So one of the biggest things too that I never bring up is, why is it that there is so many people that would buy your policy when you want to surrender it? Literally, there's lines of people that will buy your policies when you want to surrender it, and they'll pay more than the cash value of the policy. Could it be because they know something you don't know? You know, here's the thing I know is when hard times come, it's helpful to have your private banking system in place because it'll bail you out. It'll help you take advantage of opportunities, but make sure you pay yourself back. Even if it's not just now, if it's later, always treat your money the same way you treat the bank's money. I always tell people, just come up with your plan and execute it. It is that simple. Try to use your policy to fund opportunities like real estate, private lending, business ventures. And during a recessionary period, all of those become really big opportunities because that keeps your money working for you in two different places. Number one, you're compounding inside the policy, and number two, you're making money out there in your deals. That is what creates real wealth. It is a real wealth system. Stealing from your bank never ends well, but I already talked about that. So make sure you pay yourself back. Make sure you're an honest banker. And let's put some actionable steps to that. First thing, I want you to map out your strategic plan. I want you to map out what it is you want to happen. What is your goal? What is your need? Is it paying off debt, buying cars? Is it real estate? Is it investing in the stock market when it goes down? It doesn't matter. Map it out. Have a set plan when you go into this. Because if you've got a plan and we can implement that plan and help you implement it, that is going to make you so much more effective in doing this. Because listen, the opportunity is going to come and the opportunity is going to go for all of us. The difference will be whether or not you benefit from it or not. I'll tell you one thing, when the economy starts getting shaky like it is right now, most people run to the banks, they pull their money out of the markets, and usually they pull their money out of the markets too late. But infinite bankers, we lean into the system we've built. We lean in because it's safe, it's guaranteed, it's predictable, and you are in control of it. So I created something pretty amazing. Actually, my team did. In just a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a playlist for you. And that playlist is going to walk you step by step through how to not just survive, but to thrive during a recession. And inside these videos, what you're going to learn is you're going to learn that recessions create massive opportunity for those and only those who are prepared. It's going to show you how to mitigate risk, how to protect what you've built, and most importantly, how to avoid the emotional traps that take people out. You're going to discover how to accelerate when everybody else is hitting the pause button and pulling back. You're going to push in, and that is how you're going to bring in real income. And you're going to only bring in real income if you use these skills and the assets that you already have. Notice how I said the assets you already have. You see, this is your roadmap to reclaim control, take back the momentum, and come out stronger on the other side. So here it is, your reminder. Keep your policy funded. Keep it active. Do what you have to. Make sure you never lose your private banking system. And I'm here to help. So are my money mentors. We are all here to guide you. My implementation team is there to show you the path so you can take action on this. Watch the series all the way through the end. You see, you're not alone. You're not stuck. You're right where you're supposed to be. You're not alone. You're not stuck. And you're not at the mercy of the markets. You see, you're building something real. My name's Chris Naugle, and this has been another episode of What Now? What's Next? Thanks for watching.